I think I googled your name and an article came up where you talked about being a mathematician for defense contractors.
Yeah, so that I don't know which one that would be, but yes, I had this company, Phoenix Mathematics Incorporated, that did math related to Homeland Security, and as I said, we did get a contract from Los Alamos National Laboratory, although I wasn't the one doing the actual math for that, and it may not have actually been for national security, at least Los Alamos. But the company is more or less dormant now. But I still have high hopes that in the future, someone will contact me and I'll be able to get paid a lot of money.
Do
you want to ask about the lazy fishing thing?
Yeah. I'm gonna do that right after this. But I've been disappointed going through schooling of the sciences, engineering, math, that a lot of the job prospects are defense contractors and finance stuff. Mm-hmm. And a lot of stuff that I think is connected to death and destruction. And finance I'm not a big fan of. I don't like the abstractions of markets and all that crap. But so I've been disappointed by that seems to be a lot of the job opportunities for mathematicians and physicists and engineers.
Yeah, and actually the McKinsey used to come around to Oxford and they would have some big fancy dinner, if I remember correctly, and they would recruit a lot of people. And so I knew some guy who got his undergraduate degree at Harvard in a year and a half, believe it or not. And he was I think he had the highest grade point average too, something like, but I forget exactly what it was now. Maybe that's how he got his DPhil. But in any event, there's this guy who is now a professor, I believe, at Harvard Law School. But at the time, he started working for McKinsey, and he said he had 80,000 mesons. That's because that was the salary at the time, which is a lot at the time. But they suck away a lot of people who would otherwise make contributions to math, to physics. So it is kind of unfortunate, but that's what happens now. A lot of people who would otherwise just do research in pure math now get pulled away into finance. Yeah. But I can understand why, because you make lots of money. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have, this is not an insult, but something that I've noticed, like a hunch that mathematicians are kind of lazy.
Okay.
I'm trying to think about my own self, and I'm attracted to just needing a notebook and a pen and some books and sitting at a desk. No manual labor. I'm attracted to that, and I think that mathematicians like thinking things through thoroughly, and I think it's rooted in laziness, is what I'm saying.
Okay, yeah, so, I mean, my motivation is more that I like math. Certainly, I'd rather do something I enjoy than something that I don't enjoy for 40 hours a week or more. Academia is great because you don't really have a boss. At other universities. Here I don't do it because I respect Professor Nkwanta, the chairman of our department, but other universities, like when I went to Oxford on the Fulbright, the chairman of my department at the time said that I shouldn't go, I should postpone it for a year, but I just went anyway. Because you don't really have a boss in academia, at least you're not supposed to. So that's much better than virtually every other profession. No deadlines, you're not going to get fired even if you don't turn in your grades, you don't get fired. I do turn in my grades, by the way, but even if you don't turn in your grades, you don't get fired for not turning in your grades. So
I was late with my grades a couple times and I didn't get in trouble.
Okay, good.
So, and I'm a nobody here, so. But lazy sounds bad, but maybe I should have said effective. Or efficient, I'm sorry. Mathematicians like to be efficient. They don't like to have to do more than what's required. And I noticed that math academia culture is not, it doesn't seem too ambitious. The mathematicians I run into aren't all that ambitious. They're kind of content with just doing whatever comes along.
Okay. I think that may be the...
But then again,
I haven't found that universally.
I'm so new to math that I'm looking for someone with better insight. That's just my little hunch.
Yeah, so for my part, there are major problems that I want to solve. Some of which I don't even know completely. Like there's Sayre has this conjecture, they call it, Sayre had these, what they call them, multiplicity conjectures, homological multiplicity conjectures. And one of them has to do with positivity. There's some quantity which is, he conjectures, will always be positive in a certain situation and related to regular local rings. I don't even know what it is exactly, but I want to solve it. I'm going to solve it, in fact. But so that is a type of ambition. But I will say that it's not really naturally a part of me. It comes out of this, that when you're in environments like Oxford and you're in a field like lattice theory, which is like a poor cousin of abstract algebra, people don't think it's that important, including people in lattice theory, amusingly. Then you want to show that, yes, it is important.
I see.
So I had a phone call once, actually it was outside Oxford's Mathematical Institute. My first year as a graduate student, I wasn't sure if I wanted to continue to be a doctoral student at Oxford or return to the United States. I'd gotten accepted to Princeton University, and I remember speaking on the payphone, this was 1992, probably, maybe 1991, with someone at Princeton, and I told him I wanted to do lattice theory, and he said, lattice theory is not interesting or important. And then later in the conversation, it emerged that he didn't know what a lattice was, but that didn't stop him from saying that lattice theory is not interesting or important. Not, I don't think lattice theory is interesting or important. He didn't say that. He just made the objective claim, lattice theory is not interesting or important. So yes, I would then like to show I can solve problems that he does think are interesting and important.
Let me see. I feel weird admitting this, but one of the things I like about teaching math or teaching in general, is the ego aspect.
Okay.
It's like, I'm the one who's lecturing. They see me as someone who knows what they're taught, the authority on some subject. And I don't think a lot of teachers admit it. My sister's a teacher, and she kind of admitted that it feeds your ego a little bit, being a teacher, being a lecturer. I don't know if you felt the same way.
Okay, so can I first get back to the ambition part?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So I think for yourself, it is important to have some ambition. So that's why I tell graduate students that they should focus on solving problems. So you should focus on solving big problems. You should try to identify big problems that you can solve, and then solve them. There are mathematicians who don't have ambition, that's true. Those aren't the models. That's why periodically I send emails out with information about people who have solved major problems. That's why I lent out that documentary about the guy who made the advance with the twin primes conjecture. Or there's a woman who solved the prime characteristic analog of Zariski's cancellation problem. This just happened 2 years ago, but I mentioned that problem in the abstract algebra class that you took, because at the time it hadn't been solved, and then this woman came in. Well, it still is open in the characteristic zero case, but this woman's paper came out, I think the year after. So that's what you should hold up as models. But now, getting to the ego, I myself don't feel that great teaching. I don't have that feeling when I'm teaching. I'm just imparting information. I like giving popular talks because to a certain extent I have seen people sort of hold up the speaker. So especially so I'd give lectures, and then I won't say I have groupies or had groupies, but women would come up to me on more than one occasion, more than two occasions.
You said hold up the speaker, like meet with them after?
No, hold up with them, and they obviously think that the speaker they're putting the speaker up. In their eyes, the speaker is some kind of person to be revered to a certain extent.
I see.
So I don't see that when teaching math, but when giving other kinds of lectures to a big audience, I have literally seen that.
I see.
That's why I want to get back into it. So.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I know. I mean, I don't know for you, but I know what that feeling is. I'm trying to relate a lot of this stuff back to the things that I do in my life, and like stand-up comedy and teaching.
Yeah, comedy, you don't meet anyone, I can assure you. I'm sure you know this now.
What do you mean?
No women come up to you after your comedy performance.
They do.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess I'm
wrong.
lucky.
All right.
Or
because not just me, because I did hear this observation from someone else, but I think maybe I know why. Because in your comedy, it's not really self-deprecating. A lot of comedians will talk about how they're losers and so forth, and that doesn't attract an audience. That doesn't.
I do it occasionally, self-deprecating, but I can be kind of cocky too. I can switch it up. But
Okay.
I think that night I wasn't all that self-deprecating. I don't think.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I don't remember.
But that company that you started, the Hollywood consulting company.
Yes.
What is it called?
So Hollywood Math and Science Film Consulting is a company that I co-founded with a friend from Oxford, Lizzie Burns, and we do exactly what it says. We will help filmmakers and people making TV shows get the math right, and so we were consultants for the TV show Numbers. So they had a consultant who was a Caltech professor, but after him we were the very next consultants, and they sent us scripts and asked us questions like, can we make the character who's a mathematician sound more like an applied mathematician? So they would send us the scripts and we would send things back. And one of the biggest ideas that I gave them was, I told them they could work with the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics and create homework assignments. I sent them a sample one. And then about 9 months after this is what they did. They created a partnership with the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics, and they put out more or less weekly homework assignments related to the episodes of the show. And the show was on for 5 years. You can't really say how much this particular idea contributed to the show being on for 5 years, but it was. And then in terms of film, there's an animated film based on the 19th century novel Flatland, A Romance in Many Dimensions. And the movie had the voices of Martin Sheen, Michael York, Kristen Bell, and so again we were consultants for that.
When did you start this company?
So we started it in 2002. So some screenwriter emailed me. I'd written something for Time magazine, which got republished in the Guardian newspaper about the movie A Beautiful Mind. So this filmmaker contacted me. He had some movie that he was writing that dealt with math and the human genome. I didn't know anything about the human genome, but Lizzie Burns was a biochemist, so I said, let's meet with this screenwriter together. And afterwards, I told Lizzie, you know what, we could make a business out of this, and so that's what we did.
The business is still going?
That business is still going, yes.
Since 2000.